How valuable can a special teams guy be? There's a reason that special teamers get drafted late, but if there is a guy who is super valuable, is he worth an earlier pick, like a Devin Hester? Well, Matt Araiza, the Punt God, may be worth the pick. Matt Araiza was born in San Diego, California, and attended Rancho Bernardo High School, where he made 37 field goals and was a two-time All-American, in addition to running hurdles for the track and field team. Araiza was a two-star recruit, the number 20 kicker in the country, and 270th best player in California. He received offers from UMass and Montana before he committed to San Diego State. Araiza, nicknamed the Punt God, redshirted his true freshman year before taking over place kicker duties the following season. He had a school record 22 field goals on 26 attempts and was named an All-Mountain West honorable mention. Araiza followed it up by making 10 of 14 attempts in the shortened COVID-19 campaign and was named an honorable mention once again. But that season his role expanded for one game. He was the starting punter in the Aztecs season opener and averaged 49.8 yards on 5 punts. In 2021, he took over as the starting punter and landed 47% of his punts inside the 20-yard line. He went on to be named a unanimous All-American after averaging 51.19 yards per punt, recording 39 punts of over 50 yards and 18 punts of over 60 yards, all NCAA records. He won the Ray Guy Award as the best punter in the country and decided to forego his final year of eligibility. The big part of Matt Araiza's game is clear. He has a cannon of a left leg. He boomed a 77-yard punt in the season opener in 2021 and later punted an 86-yarder and 81-yarder in back-to-back games. Araiza can theoretically do anything you ask of him. Punt, kick, kick off, kick with his left or right foot. He does it all. Not many punters have kicked a 53-yard field goal in a college game, leaving the possibility to save a roster spot and have Araiza serve as the punter and kicker. Additionally, Araiza didn't have a single punt or kick blocked in 2021. His punting abilities were clear at San Diego State, but his kicking abilities were in question. Araiza declined every season, hitting 85% of his kicks in 2019, down to 71% in 2020, and 65% in 2021. It's no secret that special teamers don't go high in the draft. There's only been 5 kickers or punters to go in the first round of the NFL draft. In 1966, the Washington Redskins took Charlie Gogolak 6th overall. He was one of the first soccer-style kickers in the NFL, along with his brother Pete. The two actually combined for 14 extra points in a single game, an NFL record, when Charlie's Redskins beat Pete's Giants 72-41, the highest scoring game in NFL history. Charlie only stuck around in Washington for 3 seasons before playing 3 years for the Boston Patriots. The most famous is likely Ray Guy, a member of both the Pro Football Hall of Fame and College Football Hall of Fame, and has the award for Best Punter in College Football named after him. He was an All-American at Southern Miss and later had his number 44 retired. Guy was taken 23rd by the Raiders in 1973 and went on to spend 14 seasons in Oakland and later Los Angeles, winning 3 Super Bowls, being named an All-Pro 8 times, making 7 Pro Bowls, and later being named to the NFL 75th and 100th anniversary all-time teams. In 1978, the St. Louis Cardinals took Steve Little at 15, who, at Arkansas, tied the NCAA record for the longest field goal, 67 yards. He straight up sucked as a professional and only made 13 of 27 field goals and 41 of 51 extra points. He only played in the pros for 3 seasons, and hours after he was released by the Cardinals, he was in a high-speed car accident, broke his neck, and became a quadriplegic and passed away about 20 years later at 43 years old. Little's NCAA record 67-yard field goal stands tied today, alongside Russell Urselman, who the Saints drafted 11th overall in 1979. He was a 3-time All-American punter, all 3 coming unanimously. Erxleben played 4 seasons in New Orleans before playing a single year for the Lions in 1987. He never panned out in the pros at all, and has since spent 2 different tenures in prison. He was convicted of securities fraud in 1999 and was released in 2005 before being convicted for a Ponzi scheme in 2013 and was released in 2019. Most recently, Sebastian Janikowski was taken 17th in 2000 by the Raiders. In college at Florida State, Janikowski won the Lou Groza Award twice, given to the best kicker in the country, and helped the Seminoles win a national championship. That title came in 2000 against Virginia Tech, when Michael Vick led the Hokies from down 21 all the way back, but they still lost. Even now, it still comes up all the time on campus as the only true opportunity that Virginia Tech has had to win a national championship. Although Janikowski was only named an All-Pro and made the Pro Bowl once, he had a successful pro career. He spent 19 years in the league, 18 with the Raiders, and is their all-time leading scorer, has appeared in the most games for a single franchise more than any other player, and tied the then NFL record with a 63-yard field goal. He drilled 80.4% of his kicks in his career before retiring in 2019. There is a reason why special teamers don't go high. If you miss, you're never going to hear the end of it. Take Jason Licht, who, despite now being a Super Bowl winning general manager for the Buccaneers, will never hear the end of how he traded up to take Robert Aguayo. Aguayo was taken in the 2nd round and was supposed to be an incredible pro kicker. Instead, he was cut after 1 season. That's why even guys like Michael Dickson, who was one of the highest graded punters in the last decade, wasn't drafted until the 5th round. There are a handful of teams that are going to be in the market for a punter, likely in the later rounds. The Rams released Johnny Hekker this offseason and need to fill that void. The Chargers also have a need at punter, and Araiza would be the hometown kid that grew up in San Diego. Those may make the most sense, but there are plenty of other teams in need. The Eagles, Dolphins, and Bills all make plenty of sense too. Simply put, it's kind of insane watching Matt Araiza play. I've never been much of a special teams guy or a guy to really pay attention to the kicker or the punter in really explicit detail, but with Matt Araiza, it's just different. He's so crazy to watch. The fact that he can kick a ball that far or that hard, it's insane. When he gets to the pros, I think it's going to be a very specific carved-out role. I think he has the talent and the leg to be a punter in the NFL for a very long time. That being said, I don't think he's going to be an actual kicker. I think he might be the kickoff guy. I think he might be your punter, but I don't think he's good enough to actually be your kicker. Like I said, he's declined every single year in college. He's just done worse and worse when it comes to place kicking. But he's such a good punter that it honestly doesn't matter. And now you have just this insurance policy that if your kicker does get hurt or pulls his hamstring, all of a sudden your punter can theoretically step in and at least make your extra points probably. Well, do I think he's a first-round pick? No, I don't. I don't think he's a first-round pick. I don't think he has the talent to be a first-round pick, and I don't think anybody's discussing him as a first-round pick. That being said, I think there's a realistic possibility that he could go at the end of day 2 in the late 3rd round or so, which even for a punter would be unprecedented. Michael Dickson is one of the best punting prospects we've almost ever seen, and he didn't get taken till the 5th round. And I think that Matt Araiza is that good to the point where he can maybe get put in the 3rd round. He's a guy that can flip the field completely with just 1 kick. There was a kick earlier last year where he was within his own 20 and booted it like 80 yards. Matt Araiza is that guy, and he is going to be super, super valuable and could completely change the way that we think about punting and completely change the way the NFL values punters and how they're used. I think the best fit for Araiza is super simple. It's the Los Angeles Chargers. He's a San Diego kid. Of course, the Chargers did kind of move to LA, but still, born and raised in San Diego, went to college there. I think if he got picked by the Chargers, I think it's the obvious best fit. When it comes to worst fit, I think it's the Bills. Buffalo is super windy, and while a lot of punters do benefit from wind if they're going with it, sometimes they're going against it. And I think Araiza just blatantly has the absolute power to boom a kick, so even if he does get help from the wind, maybe he doesn't really need it. The most likely, though, I do think is the Rams. I think after you release Hecker, you're showing your cards that you definitely need a punter. And I don't know what it is about Matt Araiza, but he kind of just feels like one of those Sean McVay guys. When it comes down to it, for a defense to be able to go out on the field and not have to worry about bad field position, to now have to make a handful of stops, a punter can be a lot more valuable if they can be consistent. Sometimes Araiza gets himself in trouble because he does have such a powerful leg and it leads to touchbacks. Sometimes maybe he does need to kind of shorten it up a little bit instead of just booming it. But at the end of the day, Matt Araiza, the punt god, is one hell of a prospect, and he could change the way the NFL looks at punters.